Hello, everybody. I'm a practicing therapist and a doctoral student of psychology. Today, I want to talk about why strong eye contact makes you more attractive. We actually went in detail about eye contact and creating connection during bedroom activities in our group. And so, if you're interested in joining that discussion and seeing exclusive videos regarding that research, that link is pinned in the comments. And that was actually the video that inspired me to expand a little bit on here. Obviously, on YouTube, we can't talk about those things in detail. It's all academic, right? This is for academic purposes, but YouTube doesn't really, they're not good at distinguishing between an academic conversation and something that might not be academic. And so I just keep stuff like that in the group. But the first sign that shows why eye contact is making other individuals be perceived as more attractive is eye contact actually signals confidence. People subconsciously read eye contact as somebody who is self-assured, somebody who is socially comfortable, and which we'll expand on a little bit, and they lack insecurity or fear of showing that insecurity. They're okay with being a little uncomfortable in social situations. So let's stop and expand upon social comfort. Women in particular tend to look for men who are more socially comfortable and have a little bit more of status in social situations. Now, a lot of people think status means money or other aspects. It doesn't always, especially not in social settings. I don't know if you've ever seen this, but a guy who is calm but is able to speak up when needed, a lot of people, man or woman, gives that guy a lot of attention when he does speak. I'm not sure if you've ever seen that, but it's not even gender correlated. I go to meetings and seminars all the time, and people who are like that, they tend to, when they are speaking, it's very obvious what they're saying, and they do get a lot of attention. People don't interrupt them. People really listen because they automatically assume this person is socially comfortable, which is why they're comfortable speaking when necessary. Women do like that because it shows confidence, but it also shows self-control and respect among his peers. And why is respect really important? So this is going to go into not just psychological research, but also biological research. The group, let's say the family that the man was respected the most, his wife and kids also get a lot of that community safety. And so if you are, let's say, one of the more respected men in a society or in a group, especially back then, that man and his family will probably get more resources. They will get more protection. If something's wrong with them, their kids will get the whatever medical necessities that they do have. And so this is why that social comfort and social dominance is very important to women and with finding a partner, with finding a mate, not necessarily as much for men, because you have to think about it like this. Men, and we see this in research as well, when they are alone, they still can protect themselves to some extent physically. They also have more analytical skills with certain times of their testosterone dip and drop. I made a video on this particularly. We'll talk about this in another day, possibly. But the hormone of vasopressin for men, it does actually increase some of these aspects when he's in a relationship, because a lot of times women and children will need more of that emotional resource and physical resource from him. So that's why that stuff increases when he's in a relationship. But what I'm saying is it's still there. Women don't have those resources nearly as much emotionally, physically, as a man does, due to these differences between how men and women operate in society and physically. I understand that some people won't like that, but I'm just talking about the research and science. And so eye contact does signify these things. Eye contact can show a person all of these things, because a lot of times, especially back in the day, a lot of these things people didn't have much time. Some people lived until maximum like 30 years old for some of these time periods. And so these things need to happen relatively quickly. And so eye contact can show some of these things. We will expand more on that in another video, but the research is going to be pinned, it's going to be in the description box. So the research done in 2008 shows brain activity is more alert and focused when people are receiving eye contact. And this is kind of what we're talking about as well. But the reason why I bring this up is because that shows readiness for social engagement, which means if you and her exchange eye contact, she is ready for social engagement, her brain is, and so is yours, which means you are more likely to have a successful response to your advances if you have eye contact prior, even just a couple seconds, right? We don't want it to be you guys are staring at each other for like 2 minutes. That might be a little odd depending on the social context. So it's something to keep in mind. There are caveats to everything, but we can look at the research. And we'll talk about the research more in our group as well, a lot more details. The next one is it creates a feeling of attention and importance. When you maintain eye contact without staring aggressively, of course, the other person feels that, okay, he is actually present with me. I have his attention. I matter to him. I'm valued by him. And this is really important because, as we had mentioned, if she does, let's say she's pregnant, like pregnant with your child. This is not happening now, but in the future, if you guys want a child and she's pregnant with your child, she's very disabled physically, right? She cannot do certain things, especially when she's carrying that baby, but her body is also protecting that child. And so if something happens to her, it happens to the child. And her knowing that she has your attention, that you're actually present with her, means that if something is going on with her, if something is bothering her, if she's in danger, not that this would happen in modern day, that you will be alert to that. And that's why that eye contact makes her feel like there's attention and importance to her in case something happens. This is just why this stuff is made the way it is, and we are still functioning based on that biology. And so eye contact is very powerful for a lot of these reasons. Like I had mentioned, these interactions are short because a lot of times people just didn't have time and they needed to distinguish these things relatively quickly. We are not in a situation nowadays in our modern day where people are unsafe all the time. However, this is still based on how we are made, okay? The next one is it does increase emotional intensity. Eye contact activates emotional processing in the brain, we had mentioned, and it is more than just a casual gaze. When two people hold eye contact just a little bit longer, typically maybe a couple seconds more, the interaction does feel more personal. It feels like the emotions between you guys are more increased. So you're more emotionally charged, but in a positive way. The conversation also seems more memorable, which can help with nostalgia later in the relationship. This is why romantic moments, honestly, often sustain long eye contact. And that's why we had mentioned in our group why eye contact can help with also bedroom activities. This will help as well. There is another research that I'd like to talk about. It is fundamental, and we've had this result be replicated many times in newer studies. But when we talk about newer studies, I think it's important to also talk about the original research that the results were replicated on. So the original research published in 1989 does show that eye contact does build intimacy and romantic connection, even among strangers. Interesting enough, this research does show up to 2 minutes. However, there is other research that does show that around 60 seconds is better, because 2 minutes, sometimes it is a little too long, which can create a negative output. That is newer research. But the fundamental one, regardless, the replicated results does show that romantic connection can build even among strangers if eye contact is part of the equation, typically, okay? The next one is that eye contact does build trust faster. Humans use eye contact to judge honesty and behavior in general. Too little eye contact can actually read as nervousness, disinterest, or even dishonesty. Not that that's what you're doing. I'm just saying this is what some people might read it. A balanced eye contact creates a sense of openness and trustworthiness, and it also can create intimacy. The next one is it does create mild arousal, okay? We're not going to talk about this too much, right? We're going to save that for the group. However, extended mutual eye contact does increase heart rate, dopamine activity, and awareness of the other person, okay? So as we had mentioned, all of the research is going to be in the description box if you want more details, but any of these topics, we dive a little bit more in detail in the group, and that is pinned in the comments. If you want a consultation call with me, that's also in the comments. I hope this video is helpful to somebody. Please like, subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.